Hey everyone, it's Brooke and I'm here to discuss, compare and contrast two short story collections that I have recently read. I kind of teased this in my last chat video. One of these I loved, one of these I very near hated, and we're going to get into the whys of those two opinions. And the reason I kind of want to compare both of them is I think that they both do, or they both kind of set out to do the same thing, which is to talk about or highlight or explore people who they're very bleak. These people's lives are kind of shitty. Bad things are happening to them, or they're doing bad things. It's just, these are people that are difficult to read about. But one rises above. So let's get into it. And I'm going to start with the one I did not like so that we can end on a happy, positive note. And so this, Homesick for Another World by Ottessa Moshfegh, was no good for me. Now, lots of people love this, and so I'm sure you can go find 1,000 positive reviews. But there are also a lot of negative reviews that feel the same way I do, so no, I'm not alone. However, that being said, this book was a chore to get through. These stories, most of which I've completely forgotten. I was trying to think of, I think I can remember two, and only vague impressions of two. So Ottessa Moshfegh, I knew setting out to read this. I did not read Eileen last year. I knew, though, that she liked to concentrate on the kind of the grossness of the body in her writing. And so I was prepared for that, and normally that doesn't bother me if it's done well, if it feels like it's purposeful. And, yeah, it did not feel purposeful here. Each story, I feel like, is basically telling you the same story about the same pathetic fuck up of a human being over and over and over again with just a different backdrop. And therefore, I don't remember any of it. And the way she writes about the grotesqueness of the human body is also repetitive and redundant. She focuses on fatness over and over and over and over again. And I don't like the way she paints that in a negative light. She focuses on bad skin and acne over and over and over and over again. And she uses the word retarded over and over and over again. And when I start noticing that repetition, it's taking me out. I can't appreciate it. I don't think anything was being done well. It started to feel like a gimmick, like it was only there to shock your system. But when you're doing it every story, it just becomes annoying. And it starts to feel like you're a one-hit wonder who can't write in any other way. This is it. This is your shtick. And you got nothing else. And that's just not how I want to feel about a writer. I also felt like I can't tell if she wants me to feel sympathetic or empathic towards these characters. Or if she's just trying to humanize them. But I don't care about these people. These are awful people. There's a dude in here that basically wants to rape his next door neighbor. Like, no. I feel like every character in this book would be a Trump supporter. Like, this is just some white nonsense. And, like, her writing to me wasn't even anything special. So, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. Some people get it. And that's great. The one positive thing I will say about this book is the cover's pretty. Moving on to the more positive book, my more positive reading experience with another set of characters who were really going through some very difficult things in their lives, and that is Roxane Gay's Difficult Women. This, in my opinion, is just a really superb and superbly crafted short story collection, like really well edited and put together. You know, you guys know I've read a lot of short story collections, and I just think that this one was well collected, which I can't always say, even about short story collections that I love. But I also think I approve and disapprove of the collecting of this, but I'll get into that later. Okay, so this focuses mostly on women going through really hard shit. These are not, I mean, she writes about women from all different walks of life, but none of it's pretty. This is hard. This is difficult. A lot of people have been like dropping its stars because, like, in the ratings, because it tackles some really difficult, just abuse towards women, let's be honest. And so if that is a trigger for you and you need a warning, this is your warning. I mean, it's brutal. Roxane Gay tackles that stuff head on, but the thing is she makes each character in this book break your fucking heart and matter and rise above and not just be some self-indulgent nonsense. Like, I just, like, oh, I feel like Roxane Gay bleeds on every page. These women bleed on every page, and their stories are so important, and everything rises above, and it has a purpose, and it has a place, and it matters. And even though she tackles much of the same subject matter in different stories, every single story in this collection stands out in my mind. I don't have to, like, refresh my memory. Like, I know them. And that's a feat, because there's a lot of stories in here. This isn't a super short collection. It's almost 300 pages. The first story is, for me, it was the hardest to read, and I think that's purposefully done. She starts you with the hardest. It involves not just violence against women, but also children. And but it focuses on these two sisters who are abducted by this awful man, and just the ways that affects their relationship throughout, the rest of their lives and growing up. And then there's a story in here called Baby Arm that is the most fucked up thing, but it is so good, and I think I will remember it forever. And then there are stories that kind of break theme, and that's the only place where I think the collecting of the collection weakens. And I get why she's doing this, because you need a break every now and again from the heavy material. But for me, some of the stories just ended up feeling, because I could read this, like, it didn't, I guess I'm just a heartless bitch or something, and I could get through this okay. But I understand why some people would need the breaks and why they're added in there, but they did sometimes feel, even though they were really great, they felt like they didn't necessarily belong in the collection. But, like, there was a story about a woman made of glass, which was just so great. There was a story about the South seceding, which was great. There was a story about a miner who has, been this miner his whole life, and then all of a sudden he decides he needs to fly into the sun, and it was amazing. So there are a lot of really grounded, realistic stories in here, but there's also these sort of, like, faintly magical realism stuff. And I loved this so much on every page. Like, I took away something from every story. I would definitely reread it again. I think maybe I'm a little bit more biased on the positive side because I read it after reading the Moshfegh short story collection and not liking it, and then this was just a complete breath of fresh air. I think she takes risks, and she writes, her structure changes, and she does different things, and I just really love this collection a whole lot, and I recommend it to everyone. And yeah, Difficult Women by Roxane Gay. It's my favorite thing I've ever read by Roxane Gay, and this is the third thing I read by her, so I highly recommend it. So there you go. There is my first compare contrast video. I don't know how it went. I've been at work all day. My brain is half dead, but I decided to go ahead and just put it out there. Alright, see you guys next video.